My name is Catherine. I am 27 years old. Mornings in my house are always the same. The smell of tea, the clatter of utensils, and my father's anger. I am in the kitchen, my mother is busy with her sewing, and my father sits in the drawing room as if fighting some invisible enemy. Today, the same thing happened again. Without even looking up, my father said, "Catherine, tell your mother to do my work." The spoon almost slipped from my hand. The tea was boiling, but something inside me was boiling too. For a moment, I just stood there thinking, why is it always me? Why is it always my mother? I carried the tea tray to him. My father's face was hard. There was tiredness in his eyes, but it was never gentle. His tiredness always turned into anger. "Father, what work?" I asked softly. "That file, and tell your mother to hurry up. It's the same drama every day." I said okay and went back. Seeing my mother made a dull ache rise in my chest. Faint dark circles under her eyes, marks of sewing on her fingers. Her face looked as if life took something away from her every single day. "Mom," I called gently. She only said, "Yes, my child, I'll do it." There was no complaint in her voice, just a habit. And that habit was what hurt me the most. I often feel like I am less a daughter and more a bridge, an arch between my father and mother where every word passes through me and the weight of every word lands on my shoulders. I was good at studying. After graduation, I wanted to work. But the state of the house and the mindset of the household both block my path. Sometimes it was my mother's health, sometimes my father's work, sometimes relatives' remarks. What's the need for a girl to have a job? Get married, everything will be sorted. You're 27, still thinking about a career? I kept smiling, but inside I was breaking. That day, my mother was looking for a file. My father kept calling. I went into the room to find her bent under the bed, pulling out old papers. "Mom, I'll do it," I said. She held my hand. "Child, why do you take on so much responsibility?" I had no answer. I wished I could say, because if I don't, this house will fall apart even more. The file was found. I took it to my father. He just took the file and said, "Finally." "No, thank you." "No, child, you must be tired." That day I realized for the first time in this house my energy is the cheapest thing. At night, my mother came into my room. In her hands was my old scarf, the one I used to wear in college. She said softly, "Catherine, do you remember how happy you used to be?" I looked at the scarf. A door of memories opened. Lectures, friends, canteen tea, dreams. "Mom, this isn't the time for happiness anymore," I said. She gently stroked my hair. "Happiness never comes by checking the time, my child." For the first time, I saw a small question in her eyes, as if she were asking herself, "Why did I live my life like this?" I said quietly, "Mom, why do you never say no to Dad?" She took a breath. "Child, to say no, a person has to know their own value. No one ever taught me my value." Her sentence struck my chest like an arrow. I felt like I would cry. But that night, I made a decision. I would remind my mother of her worth. The next morning, my father's anger returned. "Catherine, tell your mother to make tea and breakfast separately for me, and get that bill paid too." I was in the kitchen. My mother was already making rotis. Her hand was trembling slightly. She was tired. All I remember is that in that moment, something clicked inside me, as if my heart said, "Not today." I set down the tray, stood up straight, and walked into the drawing room. "Father," I said in a calm voice, "Mother is tired. I will make breakfast today, but please don't order her around like this." My father looked at me. Shock was in his eyes. "What?" "I'm saying, Mother is a human being. She has limits too." Silence filled the house. My mother came to the kitchen doorway. Fear was in her eyes, as if I was challenging a storm. In anger, my father said, "You'll teach me?" For the first time, I didn't let my voice break. "I am only speaking the truth." That was the first no. Small, but enormous for me. That day, my father did not eat. He shut himself in his room. When relatives found out, the phone calls started coming. "What has happened to Catherine?" "The daughter has become disrespectful. The mother has spoiled her. The family's reputation." I heard it all. With every call, my mother's face grew more wilted. At night, my mother said, "Child, I've put you in trouble." I held her hand. "Mom, you didn't put me in trouble. We were already in trouble. Now we can just see it clearly." She started crying. I'm scared. I said, I am too, but living in fear is even worse. That night, I started applying for jobs, updating my CV, sending emails, filling out forms, everything. There was only one thought in my heart. If I become financially strong, my mother will be able to breathe too. Finding a job was not easy. In interviews, people asked, why the gap? So late now? Will your family allow it? I answered with a smile, but inside it stung. In one interview, the HR person said, Catherine, you're capable, but are you committed? I replied, I've been committed my whole life. I just never got paid for it. Maybe that line stayed with them. A few days later, I got the call. I got the job. The salary wasn't high, but it was the first step toward my freedom. I went to tell my mother. A light appeared in her eyes, as if her childhood had returned. Child, really? Mom, really? She placed her hand on my head. May keep you happy. I thought, if only my father would say it with happiness too. But he only said, fine, make sure you also take care of the house. It hurt, yet I kept my strength inside me. I will take care of myself too. When my first salary came, I went straight to the market. New sandals for my mother, her favorite shawl, and some groceries for the house. I placed the money in my mother's hands. She looked at the money with trembling hands, then looked at me and started crying. These aren't just money, my child, she said. This is my dignity. I cried too. For the first time, I felt it. I wasn't only changing my own story, I was changing my mother's story as well. That night, my father quietly asked me for the first time, how much is your salary? I told him. He didn't say anything, just murmured, But even in that I saw something. His confidence was shaking because now the house was no longer running only on his strength. One day my mother fell ill, fever, weakness. I came home early from the office. My father was at home. He was sitting beside her holding a glass of water. I saw this scene for the first time. My father, caring. I couldn't believe it. I asked quietly, did you take her to the doctor? He said, I'll take her tomorrow. There was no anger in his voice, only concern. That night, I was sitting with tea when my father came over. He said softly, Catherine, you did the right thing by taking that job. I was shocked. Even my name usually sounded harsh when he said it. Today it was gentle. I asked, do you think Mom has value? He lowered his gaze. I never really thought about it. That confession wasn't my victory. It was a doorway. Maybe my father's heart wasn't made of stone. Maybe he just never learned. The story was being rewritten. One night, my father asked my mother and me to sit at the dining table. He was serious. I want to say something to both of you, he said. My mother looked at him. I did too. He took a breath. I was too strict. Maybe unfair as well. His voice trembled slightly. I always saw your mother as work, not as a human being. Tears fell from my mother's eyes. She didn't speak, but her pain spoke for her. My father looked at me. Catherine, when you stopped me that day, I felt bad, but maybe it was necessary, I said softly. Dad, I don't hate you. I just want fairness in this house. He nodded. I will try. That promise wasn't perfect, but it was real. That night, I went to my room and opened the window. Cool air rushed in. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe. I wrote the last line in my diary. I am the heroine of my own story, and a heroine never thinks of herself as small. A few months into the job, I began to understand the world of the office. There were people, expectations, politics. But one difference stood out. Here, my hard work mattered. People in my team started calling me responsible. For the first time, I felt that I wasn't just something for the house. I was something for the world too. Sometimes during lunch breaks, I would sit quietly and think, I wish my mother had ever seen a place where her value was recognized. One evening, my mother called me to sit beside her. Catherine, she said, I've never told you my full story. She told me how she got married at a young age, how her dreams were buried under piles of sewing, and how every time she thought staying silent was better. I thought being silent was being a good wife, my mother said. I told her, Mom, staying silent is a compulsion, not being good. That day I realized I am not only the answer for my generation, but for my mother's generation too. At the office, I made a friend, Sarah. She spoke openly, laughed freely, and expressed her opinions without fear. One day she said, "You are strong, Catherine, but you underestimate yourself." I laughed. If I were really strong, I wouldn't have started so late. Sarah replied, "Starting late isn't a weakness. Giving up is." That day, for the first time, I felt that maybe I truly am strong. My relationship with my father began to change slowly. He no longer got angry over everything. Sometimes he even asked for my advice. One day he said, "Your mother looks more tired today." That sentence meant the world to me. He had noticed, and that was enough. The pressure came again. This is a good match. If a girl becomes too independent, it causes problems. This time, I was not alone. My mother said firmly, "My daughter will marry when she is ready." I stared at her. This was the same mother who once would say nothing beyond fine. One night, I sat alone and asked myself, what do I really want? The answer was simple. I want respect. I want space. I want my own identity. I decided that I would make my own life decisions, no matter what anyone else said. One day, my father started the conversation himself. My father was very strict too. He said, he never showed love. Maybe that's what I learned. For the first time, I felt a little compassion for my father. Even his anger was an inheritance. Wrong, but understandable. I set up a small sewing workspace for my mother. Now, people praise her work. Confidence appeared on my mother's face. "Catherine," she said, "I feel like I'm alive now." Hearing this, my eyes filled with tears. I no longer see myself as just a daughter or an employee. I am a woman who fell and stood back up, stayed silent and learned to speak, and learned to walk alongside fear. I am not perfect, but I am real. Today, I am 27. Maybe late for the world, but for me, exactly the right time. Now, when my father says, "Tell your mother to do my work," I smile and say, "Dad, we'll all do it together." And my mother smiles. I close my diary and write, "My story wasn't saved by a hero. I wrote my story myself." If you have read this story till the end, please write your name in the comments. And if you have subscribed to my channel, please write just one word in the comments. Done. Your one comment and one subscription mean a lot to me. They motivate me greatly and give me the strength to write more honest, heartfelt stories. Thank you. Your voice is my courage. Have you ever faced something like Catherine? Tell me your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it.